The next speaker, doctor of medicine, who thinks that only for 25% of children are active in sports. Dzintars Mozgis, welcome. I have a very complicated task today. I should talk about well-being and health in children here in Latvia. I will not be as encouraging and as joyful as Pēters Apins. I think that it has to be customized that one is more dead in one case than the other. So my task is to talk about children's health and psycho-emotional well-being. I will try to make you tired with a number of curves, and I will start with the truth: what is health? We kind of know what is health. We know what is culture. We know what culture is. Culture is when you don't throw your smoked cigarette out of the window, even no one sees that. And that's the way we live life. And health is not only the lack of disease or the lack of physical shortcomings. It's not just the lack of them, but it's a complete physical, mental, and social well-being. A good feeling, as in more than a welfare, actually. And it also could be said with regards to children and their health and well-being. And as Dr. Apinis already mentioned, education, and it's the same in children. It's correlation for children as well. We are going into a phase then, if in previous periods coronal vessel diseases and cancer were the main reason for death, and we as a nation, we are getting older. We are aging. We are aging as a nation in Europe, and therefore cancer, their prevalence, their spread will grow. It would be important to maintain the level of deaths due to cancer. Due to prevention, we have been able to reduce this death rate step by step. But we are moving into a period of time when depression actually becomes the main factor that leads to disease. So those are psychosomatic disorders. First depression, then your spine is bent. First depression, then alcoholism. First depression, then suicide. You are athletes, you know that the only thing you're craving for is endorphins. You feel it. You feel enlightened and after doing sports. Here we can look at the curve where the life expectancy in newborns, and the Latvian curve is here on the bottom. I could show it to you. This red curve. I don't see that red point. I want to show this curve. And what it says, it's related to different factors. I will talk about them further on. One of them is death rate in newborns, and it's reducing, and the environment is getting better, and we can see that in comparison to other countries, Latvian curve. And this is something that is likely to happen to small populations. We stay behind from our neighbors. But to be able to follow this on a bigger scale, we don't have to look at only few years in between, but we should look like 100 years ago and how it has changed within 100 years. And maybe someone would explain it, that it's due to doctors' work. Yes, of course. Maybe by 20%. Some percent it's clean air, clean water, food, and also social determinants. And it's all that is inborn in us, and it develops in us while growing up. And we cooperate with them while working and aging and dying. And many big part of it is actually by our choice. I will try to explain one slide that it impacts us the most, and that is the Gini coefficient, or it changes in the limits of 0 to 1. So the coefficient is higher, the more income. The uneven spread of income is more characteristic to that country. Unfortunately, Latvia is not among the countries where it would be very successful, this coefficient. And here, above 35, that's the Latvian curve. Zimbabwe has the number of 60. Well, we have to admit that. But maybe we shouldn't be compared to the worst examples. This is a very complicated scheme. Usually, social determinants is not understandable, like what are we talking about? Maybe let's start with the fact that I have asked 300 colleagues, doctors, have you witnessed a miracle? And the last person was Valdis Zatlers. I asked it to him, and he said immediately, no. These 300 colleagues have responded to me, had told me, no, I haven't witnessed miracles. I'm still searching. Maybe someone will tell me that they have witnessed a miracle. These social determinants, those social conditions, and they are inbuilt in our genes, and I will try to tell it. So there are histone methylation and histone acetylation factors. Clean water, clean food encourages the precision of gene transcription, and the opposite is it disturbs it, and then there are many mistakes in the gene transcription processes, and cancer is nothing else than a switching off and turning on of genes. So this movement and other factors are the causes that improves our genetical material and deletes the errors in our genes. So the number of children in Latvia is decreasing. We are the red line, the red curve again, and our number is decreasing more than the average ratio in Europe. So when we are looking into the future, we will have very little children and very many pensioners, old people, and very few people who will pay taxes. This is demographer Ilmārs Mežs who has come up with this. And then if we look at, we have the number of years of a person, and y-axis is showing us the costs of healthcare. So at the beginning, the costs maybe could be a little bit higher, especially for boys. They are, for some reason, girls are more lively than the boys, and they carry more genetic problems as well. Further, the costs are about the same in both sexes. And then later, boys have the tendency to break something, to run into things, and then the girls become ladies, and they start giving birth, and then they become more expensive. And then gradually, boys who drink and smoke, they become more expensive. But then around 60, 70 years, they die, and then they leave us. And then they leave us with ladies, more ladies, and there's less competition. And I think that from here we have this this saying, "My precious, my dear," because it is a dear cost. But in the opposite of here, we see the spread of healthcare costs, and we see that there is a crisis, and no one else is carrying it as the ladies actually are carrying the weight of this whole system. But here we see that GDP, we see that it's about 3.3%, and it forms about 6% from other sources. But my story is about this image. When we have less taxpayers, the only way out for us as a nation is shown in this image. So when people live until approximately my age and they go to the doctor, and the doctor sees that there's some chronic disease, and the doctor says you will have to use these and these pills until the end of your days. And if he still keeps drinking, and if he stops drinking and smoking and starts eating healthy, and then he could live for 25 more years. So the drug industry develops, so maybe he will live 30 more years. So, in fact, the only I can tell that you don't see because there is a table in the way, but the philosophy that I will try to tell you, I will tell you what's there behind the table. So we would have to live not only healthy until 55 years, but we would actually have to live by 70 years of age and be healthy, and only then come to some sort of health issues. But and be healthy not only in terms of physical state, but also mental and social. I don't see any physical or mental problems in this audience, but socially, and that's a question. And now, where is a point of turn? It's the health consciousness. So the smaller the kid is, the better he will be. If he is more health educated, the more health conscious he will be, and he will live for a longer life. Yes, there are some positive stories and some curves. Here in Latvia, newborns are becoming healthier here. First and second health group. Some time ago we had the Caesar. We have also carried out a number of studies on these questions, and we have found out that overweight and obesity is a serious threat to social health. And in the academic years, and according to this common methodology that has been developed by this World Health Association, then we have found out that only 67% of first-classers have normal weight, 10% have lack in they have smaller weight than they have to, and 22% are overweight or obese. And in this slide we can see the percentage of overweight and obesity. Red bar is for girls, and the green one is for boys. So the older the children become, so the more obese and overweight children we have. Depending on the location of the school, it's interesting to find out that in the cities and the towns, contrary to the rural areas, these tendencies have been more clear. There's another study in 2007, and it says that 4.7% of boys and 6.1% of girls are obese, and then respectively 30% and 45% of children are overweight. Only 23% of school children eat fruit and vegetables, and almost 40% of children eat sweets at least once per day. Soft drinks are drank at least once per day by 12.7% school children, and weekly by 65.8% of school children. And mostly it's drank by 30-year-old teenagers. And then there's also a big number of children who don't eat a breakfast. Also, there's a study, health behavior in school-age children study, the so-called HBSC study, and it's been observing 11, 13, and 15-year-old girls and boys, and it concerns well-being and health, and it's repeated every 4 years. For example, overweight and obesity in 15-year-old girls and boys. In Latvia, girls, it's 7%, and for boys it's 11 to 34%. In 15-year-olds who would eat breakfast every morning, so in age groups, 11-year-olds, they still do eat breakfast, but the older they get, this eating breakfast tendency is decreasing. Consuming fruit every day. So girls are more obedient and boys are not. This is how it happens. In 15-year-old boys who would consume fruit every day while eating, I can't see the left side. I can't tell you precisely what it is. In Latvia, with regards to 15-year-old boys, 16% do that. And for girls, it's 26% of girls who are consuming fruit every day. Consuming vegetables every day in 2010. So 13, 14-year-old girls eat a little bit more veggies. Drinking soft drinks every day, the opposite tendency. So boys do it more often than girls. And so 10, 11% unfortunately still do that. 15-year-old girls who drink soft drinks in Latvia, it's 6%. Boys, 10%. And bad numbers. Less than half of Latvian adolescents are sufficiently physically active. It's only like 60 minutes per day. 11-year-olds still do that, and 13, 14-year-olds do it less. And then the bad news is that the girls are less active than the boys. 15-year-old boys who are at least an hour active every day. That's a very small percentage. And respectively, this is for girls. Yeah. It's 13% for girls who are active every day, at least for an hour. And the average percentage of physically active people, we are on the average, and we stay behind very many countries, as you can see on this slide. So in general, as having good health, only 63.7% people, children in schools, aged 11 to 15, this is the only percentages that say that they have good health. 78% and 79% of girls and boys are happy with their lives, assessing as good or as the best possible. With age increasing, the proportion of adolescents assessing their life as better or worse possible increases. And so when aging, the subjective complaints about health increase as well, especially about headaches, and also being nervous without any real reason. Girls are better at following their weight. They eat more fruit, drink less soft drinks. Their mouth hygiene is better. Girls start smoking later in life, and they use less alcohol and get drunk on smaller number of occasions. What boys do better, they have better body image, they have better life satisfaction, they have lesser health complaints. And 30% of boys have confessed that they have been drunk at some point. But unfortunately, this is what we have found out. And also a study on the bad experience they have gained in their childhood. 83.1% of youth said that they have come across some sort of abuse. 65% say that they have been physically punished, and 31% have witnessed emotional abuse from their parents. 10.3% of children have suffered from sexual abuse. And the children, the youth who have witnessed or experienced cumulative stress level, they unfortunately have more chance of somatic health problems. And so that there's a more opportunity that it will show on their health later in life. the Minister of Health, he has come with this idea, has come up with an idea. So in order for Latvia to be the most healthy country in Europe in 2065, the idea is very simple. Eat healthy, and it's based on a balanced, good food. Be free and be healthy. That is a program for decreasing bad habits, and live healthy. This is the health prevention, timely visits to doctor. So it would be possible to recognize early stages of diseases, and would be enough time to get treatment. And this is based on the suggestion that when investing into prevention, we would gain a healthier society, and it would let us accumulate more finances in future. And here I would like to finish my presentation. For me, emotionally, a thought that is expressed by Dalai Lama, and he said, when asked what surprised him most about humanity, he answered man, because he sacrifices his health in order to make money. Then he sacrifices money to recuperate his health, and then he is so anxious about the future that he doesn't enjoy the present. The result being that he doesn't live in the present or the future. He lives as if he is never going to die, and then he dies having never really lived. And in order for that not to happen, we should put an accent on the children's health, so the psycho-emotional well-being, because only through that we can hope that in future our society will be more healthy, and that will be a determining factor in order for us to have Latvia as a country, Latvia as a nation here. I like this statement from Ryan, is that the coffin can never stay empty. Thank you, Dzintars. Are there any questions? Maybe I have a question. You touch upon the fact that girls live longer and better about beverages. So in your experience, it's better to how to replace a bottle of soft drink in a child's hand with a bottle of water. There are many approaches. Of course, a child longs for something that is forbidden to him or not given to him. The forbidden fruit is always more dear. In my childhood, it was always promised there will be the sandwich night. And then I went there and I saw there are no sandwiches. There are only bread and butter. So let's imagine a liter of water. Let's add 200 grams of sugar, and then we add this brown poison, and then we put on the red label, wait for a kiss from me tonight, and then we add some CO2 and some acid and some soda for it to bubble, and then we get this bubble drink, and it cannot possibly be healthy. I think that with a child you should talk, not in a childish way, but as a grown-up, even with a 3-year-old child, because relative to his age. You have to learn to talk to children, because children are created to educate their parents.